Hello, friends, and welcome into College Football Now. I am your host, Tom Downey, back again with some College Football Bowl projections. We're going to run through all of them, going the conference championships and Army-Navy left. We begin with the Bahamas Bowl, the first bowl of the year. It will be Charlotte versus Buffalo, the first bowl game in Charlotte school history. Next up, the Frisco Bowl to continue along with some of these non-Power 5 schools. Temple and Marshall. Actually be a pretty good game. All right, the Cure Bowl down in Orlando. Let's send UCF not that far away. Georgia State. That also could be a really good game. The New Mexico Bowl on December 21st. UAB and Utah out, of course, in New Mexico. Crazy, right? Low-key, actually like this one the best among those kind of lesser programs. The Boca Raton Bowl out at FAU. Let's just send FAU there. We'll make it easy, less travel. They still get paid for the bowl game. It makes sense. Ohio versus FAU, the MAC versus Conference USA. Now let me know in the comments section, folks, your favorite team, and tell us, are they going to a bowl game? TCU fans, I am sorry. Y for yes, N for no. Don't forget, of course, to tell us, what your favorite team is. My team, my alma mater, Miami of Ohio, they are going to a bowl game this year. I've got them slated for the Camellia Bowl on December 21st out in Montgomery, Alabama. Miami versus Georgia Southern of the Sun Belt. Don't we love Maction versus the Fun Belt? It's the best. All right, now for a true Power 5 school. How about Washington State and Boise State in the Las Vegas Bowl? Boise State still has a chance to get that Group of 5 bid. They need Cincinnati to upset Memphis this weekend in the American Athletic Conference Championship. The New Orleans Bowl, Southern Miss versus Appalachian State. Feels like Southern Miss often plays in this bowl game. I think it makes quite a bit of sense, though. It's Conference USA versus Sun Belt. The Gasparilla Bowl. Now, this is a replacement bowl for North Carolina. The ACC actually has too many bids this year. At least it doesn't match up quite mathematically. They get FIU, who punched their ticket thanks to upsetting Miami of Florida. The Hawaii Bowl. This one's pretty much locked in. BYU is going. That is a done deal. And if Hawaii's bowl eligible, they tend to play in the Hawaii Bowl. BYU versus Hawaii for this one. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl, Louisiana Tech and Florida State. I'll make this note now. Getting the order, in quotation marks, for the ACC is kind of a mess. Them and the SEC really kind of play around with the ordering there. Kept Louisiana Tech a little bit more close to their home field. And then Florida State, of course, that's not too far of a trip. They are eligible despite not being good this year. The Quick Lane Bowl, Michigan State. I feel pretty good about that one just because of the location and ticket sales and all of that. That's a big factor when it comes to bowl season. Boston College, thought about North Carolina here, but I think they just make more sense. The Cheez-It Bowl. This is supposed to be Big 12 versus Pac-12. It's not how it worked out this year. We have to have some replacements going in. I've got SMU versus San Diego State, so a little bit closer for both of those teams, and that actually ends up being a really good Group of 5 matchup. Both SMU and San Diego State were ranked or almost ranked at various points this yeyear. Of course, you can bet on all of the college football bowl games this year at chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CFB120. That is CFB120. It gets you a 120% deposit bonus. Last year, I parlayed 3 bowl game upsets together. I turned like a $3 bet into $100. You can do that too on BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CFB120. The New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Pitt seems to make a lot of sense this one. Maybe you could see a Miami, Florida sneak in here. The Big Ten has some awkward bowl allegiances, for lack of a better word here. Limits maybe might make more sense. Iowa's had a great year, but they can't go to the Gator Bowl. They've already been there in the past 5 years, and that's why I got them going to New York instead. The Texas Bowl, you best believe I found a way to get a Texas team in there. Kansas State seems to be trending this way against the A&M Aggies, who, boy, did they look bad against LSU last night. Yeesh. The Holiday Bowl. No more playing Florida. Michigan, I think you're welcome. Michigan versus Washington. The Big Ten versus the Pac-12. We're getting into the really good bowls right now. This one I like a lot. The Military Bowl, which, of course, is going to have one of the service academies. I've got Navy versus Louisville. I played around with a few different spots for the Cardinals. I thought about sending them to the Music City Bowl, but that didn't quite work out. You'll see why in a little bit here. But I like this matchup between these two programs. All right, the CFP semifinals, because again, we're going in order of, when these games are played date-wise. Number 1, LSU. I will put number 4, Utah in there for now. In reality, it's kind of Utah, Oklahoma, or Baylor. But if Utah beats Oregon, I think they're in. And since they're favored, that's the route we're going to take. The Fiesta Bowl, this one has not changed since our previous one. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Clemson. How awesome a game will that one be? So those were my 4 CFP teams, but I want to hear from you guys as well. Go ahead, scroll down the comments. Predict the 4 CFP teams. I think for the most part, we're in agreement on LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson. In fact, I think that LSU, Ohio State can lose and still get in, especially LSU and OSU. I think those teams are in great shape there. And as a reminder, if you want to see the latest college football playoff rankings, then subscribe. Make sure you've got those notifications turned on. We are live Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the next batch of CFP rankings. And, of course, the final ones that come out Sunday morning. That's youtube.com/chatsportstv. The Camping World Bowl. I know their CEO made a comment about getting Texas and UNC together. Notre Dame is their first choice. They would much rather have Texas versus Notre Dame. I think they're going to be able to achieve that. And this has not been the year Texas has wanted, but what a great matchup of two of historically the best programs in all of college football. All right, the Cotton Bowl, Baylor and Memphis. A reminder on the Cotton Bowl, it says 2 at-large teams this year. Now, you could see a scenario where maybe Baylor gets left out for Alabama, but they're probably going to have to take Memphis as the Group of 5 representative. And that's a close enough game for Baylor. I actually think that works out pretty well for the Cotton Bowl. But that Baylor spot, I think, very much up in the air. And, of course, if Memphis and Cincinnati, that's not happening. The First Responders Bowl, Kent State, who I think is going to get into a bowl game over East Michigan. We will see if that actually happens. They take on Western Kentucky down at the current Cotton Bowl in Dallas. The Music City Bowl. This is why I couldn't have Louisville make it. I can't have a Kentucky-Louisville matchup. Instead, Kentucky gets in there. They take on Wake Forest in Nashville. Close enough for UK. Music City Bowl gets a local-ish team to help drive those ticket sales that we know matter quite a bit. The Red Box Bowl, Illinois versus California. Maybe not the sexiest matchup, but Illinois is going bowling. And, of course, the Red Box Bowl wants a local-ish team. They get that in Cal. The Orange Bowl, reminder, the ACC number 1 team is going to go. Even if Clemson makes the college football playoff, Virginia gets pushed up into that slot. So are they one of the top 12 teams? No, but they still get a bid. Florida gets in, not quite home game, but it's pretty damn close in the end. I think this spot comes down to Florida or Alabama. I don't know how far Bama will tumble, but I think Florida's more deserving this year. Alabama haven't beaten anybody this year. Florida at least has. All right, the Sun Bowl. This is now the, by the way, new sponsor. This is now the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Yeah, go figure, right? Kind of, see right there, kind of funny, right? I got Arizona State versus Miami, Pac-12 versus ACC. Moving on now to the Liberty Bowl, and I will not lie to you, I really thought about trying to find a way to get Liberty in the Liberty Bowl, which I thought would be funny, but you'll see them here in a little bit. I got Iowa State and Tulane. I feel good about Iowa State. That other AAC bid, I'm not too confident there. The Arizona Bowl. Now, this one in most cases is Mountain West versus Sun Belt. And match well off again. Nevada versus Arkansas State. It's an interesting matchup there for those programs. The Alamo Bowl. I've seen some buzz that maybe Texas gets in here. Oklahoma State is far more deserving with Baylor and Oklahoma getting to CFP games. Oklahoma State slides in here. If Baylor does not make it there, I think they go to the Alamo Bowl. They get USC, who put together an 8-4, surprising, I think, season, despite head coach Clay Helton very much being on the hot seat. Now, we are about here to the Christmas time. That's why I love about this season. You got bowl games. You got gifts from family and friends. Well, if you need something to add to your Christmas list, here you go. Head over to chatsports.com/NCAA gear. There are hundreds of items on sale. Shirts, jerseys, hoodies, up to 50% off. In fact, They got Christmas ornaments on sale right now as well. It's chatsports.com/NCAA gear. That link is in the description. Go check it out. It's still on sale up to 50% off. So if you need something for yourself or a loved one this holiday season and you want to show off your school pride, head over to chatsports.com/NCAA gear. The Belk Bowl is next up. It won't be the Belk Bowl for much longer, but that's what it still is. Out in Charlotte, Mississippi State versus Virginia Tech. You could see a surprise North Carolina pick here, but I think Virginia Tech's a good match. Time for the New Year's Day bowl games. The Outback Bowl, Minnesota versus Auburn. Again, a lot of this depends on where does Wisconsin go. Does Alabama get in? I think Minnesota-Auburn is going to be one of the matches either for the Outback Bowl or maybe for the Citrus Bowl if these two teams sneak in instead. But I don't think Wisconsin actually gets in to a New Year's Six Bowl. I think Penn State will be higher ranked than Wisconsin. Therefore, the Rose Bowl will pick Penn State. We'll get them in a second. Alabama, I don't think they get in. They go to the Citrus Bowl instead. I like both of those Big Ten SEC matches. I think those are really high-quality ones. All right, the Rose Bowl. Reminder, it is still Big Ten versus Pac-12. If Utah gets into the CFP, Oregon goes. If Utah gets left out, well, they would lose to Oregon, so they still might not end up going to the Rose Bowl there. Penn State, meanwhile, they did not win the Big Ten East. That is Ohio State. But I think you'll see Penn State be ranked behind Wisconsin. Therefore, I think the Rose Bowl, if they want, can take the Nittany Lions instead. That's a fun Rose Bowl matchup, by the way, especially if Oregon remembers how to play offense again. This one, though, is by far my favorite one of the non-actual college football playoff matchups. Oklahoma, Georgia. That's an awesome game in the Sugar Bowl. It's not that far for either of those programs, relatively speaking. I think this would be a fantastic matchup, but hopefully Georgia shows up a little bit better than they did last time they played a Big 12 team. That was Texas last year. The Birmingham Bowl, Liberty, I've got them in against Cincinnati. Again, I'm curious to see how the AAC kind of juggles everything. I think that's a good matchup. The Gator Bowl was once one of the best, right? We loved having the Gator Bowls. It's now Tennessee versus Indiana. Can't be Iowa. They've gone in the past couple of years there. Indiana gets the nod. Maybe they can get to 10 wins. Tennessee should be able to sell enough tickets to make it worthwhile for the Gator Bowl, the Tax-Slayer Gator Bowl, I should say. Not the sexiest matchup, but two programs that are hopefully trending back in the correct direction. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I'm going to put Western Michigan and Wyoming, of course, out in Boise. No Broncos this time. They are going to a different bowl game. The Armed Forces Bowl. You best believe I found one of the service academies slot here. That is Air Force against Toledo. Toledo is one of those MAC teams who might get left out, but again, I left out Eastern Michigan. The other Cardinal Direction Michigan team, Central Michigan. This is now, by the way, this used to be the Mobile, Alabama Bowl. It is now the Lending Tree Bowl. They finally found a sponsor. I've got Central Michigan against the under-the-radar, very good Louisiana-Lafayette team out of the Sun Belt. Reminder, folks, we will have the live college football playoff rankings for you 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, and then again on Sunday when they release the final batch once the conference championship games are wrapped up. So the link there is below. Make sure you've got those notifications turned on to see what changes have occurred inside the top of the CFP